when you use cannabis, you're more apt to like be lazy and relax. Not in not everybody. I mean, I can't say that indefinitely because there are people that are like high functioning cannabis users that go and do shit. Like Wiz Khalifa, he'll write an entire album after smoking weed and then make $1 million. That's different. That's a fucking high performance cannabis user right there. Like those are some off the wall people. That's not every. Most people when they smoke, they immediately get like sugar cravings. Obviously, that has some downsides. Like you start munching on carbs and shit. You start munching on sugars. You start like chilling. You want to play video games or watch a movie. So I guess it kind of ties back into that downward spiral of testosterone that we talked about way back when. That like testosterone wave. And so like for me, I would say when I like do use cannabis, I'm more of one of those like relaxed downward spiral. Let's have some sugar. Let's relax, watch some fucking TV. And so it's just like this. Okay, that's not good. I don't understand those people that can smoke and then go straight to the gym. Those people are psychotic. Those people are wild. That's impossible for me. So
I don't know. I think. Well, I was just thinking this morning, because I was being pretty productive this morning. I was getting a lot of good things done, and it came to my mind the whole process of addictions and the whole quote. What is it, like a dare quote? Not even once. The actual power behind that quote, because if you don't give into it once, then you won't have that downward spiral. And in the aspect of this morning, I was thinking of in terms of like social media or even just YouTube or something. The second I started watching something, there goes. There's the rest of the day. I even got to thinking of how we started talking about testosterone back in the day and how it starts off early in the morning and then it just tanks. And that potentially could be because of the things you're consuming throughout the day. And in aspects of, your mind, you typically want to get your productive things done earlier because you won't have things bringing you down. But I don't know, just a lot of ideas here. I just feel like there's better things to do, and then there's to not touch those things once. If you don't touch them once, then you won't have that downward spiral.
yeah.
And to avoid them altogether, I mean, I feel like you could try to keep that line steady throughout the day and that productivity.
See, that's the thing. It's good. It's the deciding to get onto an upward spiral versus a downward spiral. And I think a lot of times we think we just want to relax. Here's a theory. When we wake up and we just want to relax, it's because we've already started a downward spiral somehow, somewhere. So like today I just woke up like bleh. And last couple of days I was actually super motivated, and not super motivated. I was more motivated than I was prior. Granted, like I was in Idaho for a bit. We were like doing a bunch of stuff. We were like constantly moving, working out, training, like having fun. Came back home, immediately was like, oh, I should like relax or whatever. But I was like, no, got into this daily practice of that thing that I shared with you, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. I decided I would listen to it every day for just a short amount of time. Just because I wanted to just really, okay, I'm just going to be like 100% transparent. I put it on a playlist, and it's the only thing that's on the playlist. And the playlist is titled Brainwash Myself. Just because, like, I believe that we're just operating systems, and all you need to do is just brainwash yourself with code, and then you'll just output whatever that code is. And so I decided if I just listen to it every morning for a set amount of time, that I'll get the result that I wrote on my piece of paper. If you've listened to The Strangest Secret, you understand what I'm saying. And today, I didn't listen to it. I've been doing it early in the morning, like right after I get up, and then the rest of the day is like really good. Today, I woke up, started scrolling, and then like was on YouTube for probably like an hour and a half, and just watching videos and shit. And I didn't listen to The Strangest Secret. And now I'm just like, bleh. You're like, hey, we gotta record. I'm like, bleh. All right. And I think it's because I already started a downward spiral instead of an upward spiral. I started the day with a vice instead of like an opportunity of growth. And so that's on me, dude. I think my bleh today was not being conscious of the first action I took in the morning when my brain was in alpha state.
Well, I mean, this is one thought that has been on my mind the last week or so is just like what can I do to stay in this ambitious and motivated state?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would love to be tackling things for most of the day, and I get it. You can't be tackling things all the time, and you can't be 100%. We need our breaks, we need our breathers, we need to socialize and do all these things. But when I find myself just throwing time away, it becomes really irritating because I have so many things I want to accomplish. And I even have this I even posted over here my calendar of my life where I mark off every week, a week down, a week down, thinking that that would have helped me stay motivated because, just losing that time. And sadly, it isn't doing much. And so it's been on my mind a lot. It's just like, what uh, can I do to keep on at this? And I think a big part of it is the morning. But I mean, how, when you wake up, right when you wake up, your alarm rings, you wake up, how do you choose the action, the ambitious motive over picking up your phone and scrolling? Like, what has to be going on in your head to do that? I feel like there's something deep that you need to be fueling that because I don't know, the drive that needs to be there. I've just been trying to pick it apart myself because I want it and I want it every day and I want to be tackling these things every day.
Here's a thought. Momentum will proceed. So the way I see it is like literally I started off having like just an annoying dream, not a bad dream. Like I had an annoying dream and I woke up like a pissed, not pissed, but like just annoyed off of this dream. And I immediately rolled over, opened up my phone and went to check messages, anything, right? You go through, you check Facebook, you check X to see if Tate posted, you check you check all the stuff, okay? And like got onto the face space is what I call it. And I hate that space, dude. I hate face space. You know what I'm talking about. I don't like it. And some friend posted some stupid video and I started to like scroll down and saw another video. And it was literally the moment after I woke up. And so it's the difference is if you started baseline and you had stairs going up and then you had stairs going down, okay? And imagine that these stairs are like stairs in a building per se. And there's turning points, right? So say like you go down to this first set and then you go down the next like you go down the first set and you go down the next set and you go down the next. Or you go up the first set, up the next set, up the next, and you start at baseline. And I feel like me grabbing my phone was taking the first couple steps down stairs. And so that momentum wants to continue in that direction, right? And so I'm just like kind of just relaxing, stepping downstairs, stepping downstairs, stepping downstairs. And then there's turning points like, oh, I feel like the turning points is the realization that you're going downstairs. And you're like, fuck. And you look up and your baseline's like up there where you started, like, oh, I'd have to walk back upstairs. Versus like if you started at baseline, you looked at the first steps going up and you started those first steps up, you already are motivated to continue moving up because you started from baseline and you started to just go up. And so like say I listened to The Strangest Secret right at the get-go, right after I woke up, I'd already be moving up. I finished the 30-minute talk of Earl Nightingale, and I would already finish the first set. You feel victorious, you feel good, you just want to keep going up. And so that's kind of how my mind is viewing it at the moment, I would say, is like I started my first steps just going downstairs, essentially, that downward spiral down the building, instead of moving up to the next thing I wanted to do. And so that's why I'm feeling like bleh, in a funk. And I need to, because when you're in a funk, you want to kind of like embrace the chaos, is what I said. Like, oh, maybe I just need to embrace some chaos. And let's be real, that's probably not the best thing to do. So.
I guess just running off of the chaos theme right now is just in terms of chaos, I think of chaos as in my head, God created order from chaos. There was the masses of just space and matter, and he created it and he organizes it. For him to organize it, it needed to be something he could organize. And so in terms of creating chaos, I think it has to be sustenance that you can benefit you. And in terms of scrolling on social media, I don't think that's the right type of chaos. I think there's other terms of chaos. So that's a different ballpark. But on terms of the stairs, I completely agree. I think the problem with that is the option, because I don't know, if I were to bet, one of the biggest things of why you were kind of in a slump this morning is the weekend, I would say. Because it gives you more of an option. I mean, I'm the same way. It's like, it's Sunday. Do I have to get up and do this? No, I don't. I could wait. One thing that I'm excited for is I scheduled a future client on all my days off of work to train right when I get up, like right off the bat. So I have to wake up and I have to hurry and get over there and train him. And so I'm really excited for that, because I feel like that's going to get my wheels turning for the day, and I go train him. I'll come back and I'm already in that mode of going up those stairs, and I think it'll be good. On the other hand, I think it's a different ball game to keep going up those stairs throughout the day. I think it's definitely like a slingshot. But to do it the whole day, I think that's a whole different conversation. Because, like, for example, today, this morning, I started off by doing a lot of good things, is just getting a lot of good things done, and then it hit around noon, and I kind of just stopped. Which, I don't know, it's just extremely irritating to me, because it's like, I want to write a book, I want to do all these songs, like, I got this whole meal plan I want to create for when I start bulking again. So many things that I want to get done and want to accomplish, and yet I don't know. I can't keep at it all the time. So,
what is it called? Kaizen. I think it's called Kaizen. It's the process of just doing 1% better every day. It's just getting 1% better every day. I think that's what it's called, this Kaizen. I believe it's a Japanese philosophy of just getting 1% better every day. And I think a lot of it ties into our reward system. And if you're not triggering random reward, you're not going to stay on the path that you're on if you're not receiving any reward for the things that you are doing. And so, last night I read a whole book before going to bed. I read just a whole book real quick. I was like pissed off because I was supposed to read the rest of Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey before going to bed. And that one I have an audiobook, and I think I had like 2 hours left. And I was like, I don't want to listen to this right now. I'll fall asleep if I listen to it. So I have to read something. I have to like sit up and read something, or else like I won't stay up. And I wanted to finish a book by like today, because today, like the goal was to finish Green Lights by the end of Sunday this week. And I'm trying to do 2 books a week right now, which is fucking hard, because I've slacked off all this week. Last week I was hanging with family and friends and whatnot. And so, but I'm trying to do 2 books a week to catch up. That's the thing, is I'm trying to catch up right now with the reading. So last night I was pissed. I was like, just finish a smaller book that you have. Like pick a really, like one of the smaller books that you have and blast through it. So I did, read the book. And I didn't mentally reward myself. Because typically when I finish a book, I'll literally like stand in front of the mirror and be like, good job, Tanner. I'm proud of you. You finished the book. Good job. And it's just a little sparkle of like reward. Like, good job. I'm proud of you. You did what you set out to do. You finished it. You completed. Because I think that's more important. Like to actually reap some sort of reward for like intentional action and like an upward spiral. And I didn't do that. Like I read the book and I was like, oh, fucking finally. And I kind of like beat myself up in a way. I was just like, fucking finally, go to bed. And I like went to bed and I woke up like irritated. I was like, me. And it's because like today I'm like, I want to just embrace chaos. I want to like play video games or something. Like I don't think I like actually rewarded myself for finished a book. And I just have 2 hours left of the other book and I will have my 2 books this week. So it's like, Tanner, you're right there. Treat yourself as such. Like you're doing good. And I think if we don't implement that like random reward, or at least small reward for the tasks finished and the things we've done, we won't stay on that upward spiral because we'll be like, what's the fucking point? Like I finished a thing and I don't feel good about it. So I think that probably plays into it too.
Yeah, I mean, I see that definitely. I think we're all hard on ourselves. I mean, just relating it to the gym. I mean, I look at myself all the time. I was like, oh, you're a piece of trash. You should be like better looking, more jacked, and really, you need to be able to say, you know what, like, I did good today, and I look pretty good. And I probably should be saying that about today, considering I made progress in each of the areas I wanted to make progress in, and so that itself is a win. So yeah, I think definitely you need to reward yourself. One thing I've been thinking about is, and I thought I was so smart for it, but they didn't hire me. I applied for this online personal training gig, and they asked me, they gave me this big questionnaire, and they were talking about like how to help someone meet their goals and a question about that. And I related it to progressive overload, and I thought it was a clever way to do it. But basically, how you can't get it all at once, whether in terms of diet or good body or in life in general, any goal. I know a lot of people, especially me, is just we want to get it all done. Like today, I wanted to be productive all day and get so much done. When really, by giving yourself more goals and more things to do, the less likely the long-term goal will be accomplished. It needs to be a progressive overload, like 5 pounds a week when you're bulking at 5 pounds a week to that lift, and see if you could lift that. And then really, I think that's the key to life is just taking it step by step. And like you said, that 1%, trying to be 1% better every day. And that's really all we can do. And if you'd hit that, then give yourself that reward. That's the way you should be doing it. And so I feel like I'm pretty hard on myself, but in all reality, I'm progressing and I should be happy about it.
Yeah. Also, if you think about it, if you don't reward yourself, if you don't like after you accomplish anything, even like doing the dishes or anything, say you accomplish something small, doing the dishes, working out, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, finish a book. If you don't reward yourself for that action, you're not likely to continuously repeat that action. If you, I'm saying in regards to say you punish yourself mentally, like I finished the book and I was like, finally. It was like an annoyingly like finally. Like imagine winning a trophy and your parents are like, finally. You'd be fucking distraught. You'd be like, man, I don't want to win another one. Like say you got the goal, in soccer or whatever, you made a goal and you're like, Mom, Dad, like I made that goal. And instead of being like, good job, I'm so proud of you, they're like, fucking finally. Like you'd be like, I never want to score again. I never want to fucking score again. And I think that's basically what happened last night. Is like I finished a small book and I was just like, oh, finally. And I went to bed. And it was that like, no, dude, fuck you. Like I deserve some sort of like cheer for myself. And I should cheer for myself for that. Like, hey, you did it. Good job. I'm proud of you. I should take that time out to be like, I am proud of you. Because I do that for so many other people. I do that constantly for my friends, for like my loved ones. I constantly like, good job, I'm proud of you. That fucking took work. And I guess it's just harder to do it for ourselves. We have to be conscious of it. Maybe I could be wrong on that, but I think that random reward is so important to maintain an upward spiral. So like you did a bunch of stuff this morning, and at any point were you like, good job, I'm proud of you? Or would you say there was a point where you're like, finally I got all that shit done?
Yeah, it was just like a chore kind of as I was treating it in my head. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I think of it I think I was talking to you about before you got on your plane when we were stuck for hours. I was thinking about an attitude of just maintaining the attitude of everything happens so we could give it a reason. And that was just really profound in my head because just if someone I mean, it's a simple idea, you know? It's just like, oh yeah, that's easy. And you could tell someone that and like, yeah, dude, that's what are you even talking about? That's dumb. Why wouldn't you do that? But in reality, someone who maintains that attitude of positivity, just how they would treat every situation differently and better. I think it's the same concept of just the outlook on life and maintaining a positive outlook. Uh, and like everything that bad happens to you, just imagine like, oh, great, I could learn from this. This is awesome. Just having that towards every little thing, and like you did something, you're like, yes, I finally did it. Now let's get this next thing. And we're so negativity is just a so addictive uh, attitude to have. And in reality, we should be trying to maintain that positivity, and how that could affect our life extremely long term, I think, is just really just going to be extremely beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I saw your 48 Laws of Power over there, and I like
Oh, shoot.
it made me so happy just because it reminds me. I just there's a lot in that book that ties into this whole conversation. that book that book is a little dark, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Real quick, how are you feeling with that book?
I like to think of the book as some of the other books I've read, and like maybe in a lot of relation to conversations with God, is the concepts taught in it are extremely like profound and true,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes a lot of personal interpretation and application. And so, like in Laws of Power, a lot of these stories are potentially not even good hearted people with good intentions. It's literally just to rise to power. That's the whole concept of the book. And so, do you really want to apply these principles to your life? I mean, that's up to you. But it definitely takes a lot of interpretation. And what do I actually want to apply? What do I actually want to learn from this? Because do I actually want to destroy my enemies? You know? So it's a great read, but keep that open mind and learn from it. I mean, as in any book, but I think this one especially.
Mm-hmm. You'll get towards the end and you'll see something. I think it's 40. I don't want to ruin it. I'll kind of preface. You'll get towards the end and you'll notice things that are happening in the world right now with very influential people. And you'll be like, oh my God. Like the battle between, because right now we don't have kings and queens, but we have what we call influencers. And they battle the same way as kings and queens did back in the day, except we're not killing anybody. Like nobody's dying. I mean, some people are, like the Boeing whistleblowers. But
Gosh.
some people do die in the influencer world, but you'll see a lot of these tactics in that book between influencers. And it's kind of funny. Like, so, there are people, especially the influencers that are rising so fast right now, the people that are worth 300 million plus, you'll see a lot of these tactics in play. And they don't employ them like some of the tactics in the book that you see. Like you said, you have to apply it. You have to figure out how you can apply it in a more positive manner or in a way that's like respectable to society. Or some of them you just don't even apply at all. You're like, that's crazy. I'm not even gonna touch that. That's something else entirely that I'm just gonna leave it over there. But it's a true, like, you look at it as like, okay, I can see how that works. I don't want to participate in that, but I see how that works.
Yeah.
Um, Towards the end, you see it there's a lot of good shit. There's a lot of good shit throughout that entire book. Um, and I think it is important to understand all of those laws as a good versus evil. I like to say, I like to put quotes around it, good versus evil, because that's how most people view the world. Like, we talk about vices and going on a downward spiral, and that's the evil, beating the good, and then going on an upward spiral in the morning, and it's like, that's the good beating the evil. We say, like, oh, it's hard to be like 100% all day long. Like you said, around noon, you're like, I just kind of want to relax and whatnot. Um, I know a lot of certain influencers right now are like, I'm a 10 all day. Like, all day I'm going like nonstop. And we've got the Goggins, we've got the Tates, we've got people that are like, I'm 10 all day. And to be fair, like, I do think it's possible. I do think it's like very much possible to be a 10 all day. All the time, though, no. I would say, like, if you and I lived together, there'd probably be a lot of days that we were like 10 all day, just like push, 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 push. Because I was sick the entire time I was there. Like, that altitude was killing me, and we still went to the gym and trained consistently. I was dying, dude. I was physically coughing, just dying the entire time. The altitude was fucking me up. And I was like, just gotta maintain this, like, go for it. And if I was at home with that, like, sick, because it wasn't like a sick, it was just like a body was battling the altitude, the lack of oxygen and everything, and the dry air, and it was just incredibly difficult for me. If I was battling that here, bro, I wouldn't be going to the gym. I'd be chilling. I'd be in bed, just.
Yeah, I feel like to stay at a 10 all day, I feel like I think you would need at least two things. Probably a plan and a partner, I would say. Because with those two things, you really have no out. Because I think, obviously, without a plan, you're just gonna, like, for example, today I met my goals by noon, and that was it. And so I just kind of stopped after that. But even with the plan, you could say, I'm not feeling it.
Mhm.
With the partner, though, is like you hold each other accountable. You stick to that plan. That's why gym partners are so beneficial.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I feel like 10 days are possible, yeah, but there's no way you could do that all the time. I mean, I feel like it's not good to do it all the time. I mean, you need a little chaos, you need a little relaxation. I mean, can't be 100 all the time.
I feel like if I was surrounded by intellectuals like us, we had four of them around us. Say we lived in a house with four dudes like us. Don't get me wrong, I love all of our other friends that we hang out with and the other guys that we got to spend time with during that week. But I thought about this later and I was like, what if I brought John over to Adam's house at that time? What if, like, that was it? It was like me, Adam, and John. Dude, it would have been aggressive as all get. Like, John's insane. He trains fucking hard. And he's incredibly intellectual. And, like, we had our downtimes at your house where we, like, we played geometry boards or whatever, and, like, good fun downtime. And he's a gamer as well,
Yeah.
but, like, the times that I lived with him, and this is something I like to think about, is, like, The times that I got the biggest and the strongest, I was training with somebody consistently. Like I was training with another person consistently. Which kind of goes back to my like tribal views is like humans are tribal creatures. We like also with the Belgian horses, like you train two Belgian horses together, they're so much stronger. And I like to think about that because it's like I think we could be tens a lot more. Like we'd have days that are 10 out of 10 a lot more if we surrounded ourselves with those people. It's just so hard to find them. And then, God, this ties into like all of the books we fucking read. Damn. Like, because we're just 98% of the people we're surrounded with are just drifters.
Yeah.
See, like today I wanted to embrace chaos. And you were like, no, you should do that. I'm like, fuck, you're right. Okay.
No, I think it goes back to my whole saying is just like a partner in a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I feel like even we would have been able to do crazy things if we planned ahead. You know, we didn't have crazy plans other than we wanted to get some nice lifts and. But yeah, if we came up with more of a plan, we definitely would have accomplished more. And then obviously, I feel like the more partners you have with the same goal, I mean, the more likely you are to do it. Maybe it would compensate for the lack of a plan. The more group you have with the same goal, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I think a plan is important. I used to just fully embrace chaos nonstop, not like 100% of the time. And now I do try to schedule out my days. Like yesterday was very productive for me. I got a lot of shit done yesterday. And it's because if I pull up my calendar, I planned out the entire day, literally every 15 minutes. Everything was planned out. Everything was like 15 minutes is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm doing then. But when I don't plan out my day, dude, I got 400 reps in the gym yesterday. I felt amazing. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And I set out to do 400 reps. I wrote out exactly 100 to this, 100 to this, 100 to this, 100 to this, and then my 8 minutes of hit at the beginning. And I'm not leaving until I do all of this. Today, I'm like, I didn't plan a workout. I didn't plan my day. I didn't plan anything for today. Like, I literally didn't plan shit for today. Like, today is completely empty. There's nothing there. And so I'm just like, I don't have anything to do. It's because I didn't set a plan out for myself. But imagine having a team with a plan. Bro, that would be disgusting. That would be gross. We'd take over the world in a week. Hey, there's an idea.
Oh, gosh. No, it's so true. I mean, I do think planning too much can be a bad thing. I mean, I've had days where I'm like, okay, this hour, I'm doing this hour, I'm doing this. And then like it just, I mean, you get one thing, you throw one thing into that and it just a bowling ball with the pins and it knocks it all down. And so currently what I like doing is just having reminders in my phone. Says like my first reminder that pops up is read. And so I'll read and however long that takes, right? And I'll read. And then once I'm done reading, I'll check that off. And the next one's write. Okay, I'll spend time writing. So I definitely think plans are good and smart goals are really good because you could do more things within that time. But I think getting too nitty gritty might be problematic. But in terms of, yeah, I don't know if a partner, unless that partner is physically with you, I don't know if it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because let's say you have someone, you might be able to get it to work. Yeah. I mean, I could see us being like, hey, let's freaking hit the 1,000 push-up today, you know, and like let's start that here in an hour, and like we could definitely push that and get that done. But in terms of definitely, I would say like a full day of being productive, in person, I think might be essential for that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas because I honestly, I really want to improve in terms of getting things done and tackling my goals.
When you brought up that 1,000 push-ups, yeah, we conversed about it the week prior, and leading up to it, like, was hell mentally. I thought I was gonna die, and the day came, but we had committed to it, and so it was like a slot of time that you would like agreed to like essentially hang out with a friend, but it's just like, okay, this day I have to accomplish this, and I have no choice. And we still did it. Even though we both dreaded the hell out of it, we did it. Because we made the agreement, and we knew if we fell back on that agreement, we'd feel like shit. So we followed through on that agreement. We felt really good afterwards. And I think just the concept of even an accountability partner, even if it's just a virtual, because we're like, I don't know, 3,000 miles away, we still got the 1,000 push-ups done. And the following week, we did 1,000 sit-ups. Like, even though we weren't physically in the same room, we still did it. Obviously, if we were in the same room, it would be so much more aggressive. It would be so much more intense. One of us would be like, oh, let's start doing some fucking curls. Like,
Gosh,
they would
let's mix
probably
this
get a
in.
little crazy. But I think you can accomplish a lot with a plan and an accountability partner. I think that is something we should probably do a little more of. Because like even today, we didn't plan when we were gonna like record. We're just like, are we gonna record today? You know?
No, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's definitely something you need to figure out because I mean, you're not gonna live with your bros, essentially long term. And so, what's the compromise you can make? What's the ways you could still have this group and these accountability partners and be like and reach your goals, whether it being the same goals or different goals? Like, what's the direction to take that would hold everyone to it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like my ideal situation when it comes to life is a compound. Is like bros there, living there. Like we've got our family quarters, and then we've got like the main workforce area, which is like the workouts, the recording stuff, like this the setups of the podcast, like you've got
No, I completely agree, and I think that would be ideal. But here's the dilemma: to get to that, you have to accomplish so much. To accomplish so much, I think we have to have that beforehand. You get what I mean?
true.
So that's the dilemma. I'm like, we're 3,000 miles apart right now. So, like, I'm just saying, like, what's the compromise we can make to help each other find success and meet our goals so we could get to that point and continue doing that?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
It's so tricky just because like everything is so virtual, and it's like Tanner, why don't you adapt and utilize the resources given? Like these aren't poisons. We use them as poison. Like social media, we use as poison, but oh my god, connectivity of device. Like it was built to connect us with it if there is distance involved. Like that was the point of social media, is to connect you at great distances, so that you can contact somebody real time, like right now, as we are talking to each other. And like these are conversations that we would have in person. Let's be honest. These are all conversations we have naturally in person. And it's because it feels so real to an extent. Like granted, like I couldn't fucking punch you right now, which like obviously we don't do. But I'm just saying, like, yes, there isn't that like physical aspect of being in front of somebody, but there is that virtual aspect of being in front of somebody that creates that same stimuli in the brain. And so maybe it just comes down to us utilizing this a lot more, even if we aren't just like shooting podcasts and shit. Just like, this goes back to the mastermind group. It's just like, you need to get in with the mastermind group. It's so important. And that's probably something we just need to figure out, like a time that would work to just, I mean, we do it almost every week. Maybe we just need to have more time every day that we even jump on like a 15 or 30-minute call, just to be like, what did you want to get done? What have you got done?
True. But there has to be, I think you have to be cautious because I mean, I think even you and me, we've attempted some things. I mean, I made a freaking spreadsheet that was so detailed, and every day we would check off and I'm like, that was too intense. I mean, because it didn't last long. And so there has to be something of holding someone accountable that's not going to be, I mean, I like organization. I like doing stuff, but yeah, maybe if it's just a call where you just talk about and make sure you got stuff done, and knowing that call's coming up, you're like, I gotta make some shiz happen, and I I want to be able to brag that I got freaking this done, and yeah. So maybe it is just kind of creating that group. And I know a lot of people that do it. I know a lot of musicians that they'll have a call once a week, and they'll just talk like, "What did you get done?" And I mean, I think you and me have kind of been attempting it with the goals we're talking about at the end of every podcast. But I mean, talking about one goal at the end of every podcast is maybe not as effective as it could be.
What did we start with on the podcast? We had a physical goal and an intellectual goal, I think it was.
Yep.
Was it just 2 goals?
I think it was just 2.
It was just 2.
And then it turned into like 500, and then it turned into 1.
Yep. So we started with 2 and we were good with 2, and then we moved to like literally 10, maybe 20. I don't know. It was a lot, and we went way overboard, and we just got so demotivated that we're like, "Fuck this." And then now we're down at 1. I think Kaizen,
but
1%.
Here's the thing: is like we're working on several different things in several different aspects, and so it made sense to make the goals, but counting them and holding each other accountable, it was way too much. And so I feel like just talking one goal, is that not enough? I don't know where to create a middle ground in the accountability group or
let's keep
mastermind
the
group.
Kaizen in mind when brainstorming this. So Kaizen is 1%, right? We're not looking for 50%. We're not looking for absolute success. We're looking for 1% growth, right? Because that's a goal. If we can keep a 1%, at some days you'll be a 5%, some days you'll be a 20%, and that'll inspire the other person. But a basis of just 1, like you just have to complete 1, and if you get the 1, good job. I'm proud of you. And so,
how about like I'm thinking of yesterday. I told you before we started our podcast how all my ideas started coming together on the book I wanted to write, and I was pretty excited when that happened. And I almost picked up my phone and messaged you because I was just so excited. Even though and why I didn't is it's exciting for me because it's like my passions in these ideas and everything. And it wouldn't be passionate to you, and so I'm like, I don't want to message him. I'll just tell him at the podcast or whatever. But I'm wondering if maybe that's what it would take. Every accomplishment you make in the day, maybe it's just a message you send, and then the other guy, it shows you're doing stuff, and the other guy could not only feed you accountability, but feed you a positive reinforcement.
Let's do that. This is literally what I'm thinking is like, we have a 1% on positive reinforcement that we have to inflict on the other every day. So just 1% of like, you're doing good, keep moving. Because like, that's basically it, is we're just fanning each other's flame. Instead of being like, you share it, I'm distracted or whatever. Like if we had a space where it's like, the goal is number 1, share the growth, and number 2, fan the other growth. And so it's just this like constant upward spiral. And that's it. It's just like, share the growth, fan the growth. Like, share the goal, the growth, fan the growth. So there's sharing the goals. Here's my goal for the next day. Share the growth you made today, fan the growth, build the growth. Like, all right, you can do this. You did this much today. Fuck yeah. Keep moving. You're doing good. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I like that because in the fact of like, well, even making it simple, like I read a chapter out of a book and I'll just message you, say, hey, I read this chapter. It was super cool. I learned this. And then giving the positive reinforcement back. And not only does it encourage you to do the action prior, but you get that positive reinforcement. You're forced to recognize your action as a person. And so you yourself are like, okay, I did something. It's good. And then you're getting that positive reinforcement and you're getting it back. And maybe, if you don't get a message throughout the day, you're like, hey, bro, you going to do something today? What are you doing? Get something done. But that could be we could kind of play around with that idea because I think that's a nice, it's more laid back. I don't even know if I would say like setting goals or anything would necessarily, because it's all personal.
Yeah.
And And I think, like we talked about before on prior podcasts, is like sometimes you'll go through one area of your life will be excelling like crazy, and the other will be like kind of lacking. And that's okay. I mean, as long as you're excelling in one area, that's what really matters. And so just basically I mean, it's basically like, how do I want to word this? I would say, female conversation. No, I don't know. It's like overly sharing, you know? It's like, hey man, I did this. It's like something you normally would share. Is like, why would I share this? But in a way, it would hold each other accountable, and we could. I see it. It supports growth.
So here's an idea. What if we call it our 1% list? So every day, you just make a note in your phone, just 1% of what you're tracking. So say I did like, I read for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, read for 10 minutes. And you just make a list of just the 1% that you did. Okay, say today I only read. And other than that, I was just wasting my fucking time. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I got to read my book, and I wrote that down 1% better. Say you did, I don't know, you cleaned up, you cleaned the apartment or whatever. I got to clean for 30 minutes. You write that down as well. And you just made a list of the things you did that you feel good about, or that you feel like you've accomplished something. And that's something that we like touch base on. But like, hey, like what was your 1% every day that you got? Or like, what did you feel like you grew in today? And we just like shared the growth. Like, this is what I did. This is what I accomplished. This is what I like focusing on. This is a little crazy. I'm excited about this, whatever. It's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And it doesn't even have to be that long. It can be a quick 15, 20-minute call where we just like 1% growth. This is what I've accomplished. I don't know. What do you think? Well, what would you adapt to it? Like, what would you throw?
I think it's something that we need to play around with and see what works. Because I'm afraid making it too formal is going to cause it to fall. Because I mean, like the spreadsheet I created, I think that's an extreme example of it. It's just, don't get me wrong, the idea is brilliant. I mean, but we're like, we need chaos. We need chaos to work. And so
we need it to feel like play.
We need it to be as normal as possible.
As fun and as normal as something that we just want to do. That's like fun to little like play into, like a game.
So it's like when it comes to like a phone call every day, I feel like I could see that easily falling through. So that's where I was more leaning towards making it just like shooting messages. Like anytime you make an accomplishment or something. Like anytime you hit a 1% in an area, just shoot a message. I think it'll make it less hassle. You know? And more so you're like talking with your bro, you know? It's just like, hey dude, I just read this and I learned this, dude. What do you and what do you think? And like it could even be like a conversation type deal. It's just like, hey bro, like I just came up with this idea that I'm gonna do for my book. Like I'm gonna put these organized these ideas, like, hey, what do you, and I can feel like it could be really naturalized that way instead of like accountability and stuff. It's more so a conversation, and not only are you getting that accountability from it, but also potentially growing, and the other person's learning from it as well. That's kind of my ideas, but like I said, I think it might need some playing around.
I have an idea.
Okay.
You know, in elementary school, they had essentially the sticker program. You would accomplish something and you would get a sticker for it, essentially. You would mark off
the gold star.
Yeah, a gold star. Yeah. So what if we had a spreadsheet that wasn't like every day you have to do this? What if it had an end goal? So for me, I have to read 50 books this year. And so I've got 50 squares. And I mark off the amount of squares that I've got. And every time I finish a book, I mark off a square, another square. It's like I have to get 50 by the end of the year. At least 50 books this year. For me, that's what I want. And instead of being like, oh, every day I have to do this, it's like I get to knock off a square. I just get to check a box every time I complete one of these things. instead of like, this is what I have to do these every day. I have to make sure I lift every single day. Have to make sure I, whatever every day. It's just like, all right, every time I like finish a thing, I get to knock off a space. And like, we have our spaces of the things we want to do. Like a gym workout, you get to knock off another square. It's just a square. Oh, I did a gym workout. It's not like an everyday thing. It's like we knock off a certain amount. And maybe at some point we have like, after say 2 books or whatever, we have a call or something. It's like, hey, this is what I've learned. This is what's crazy. This is what's like fucking wild. Or say like fitness wise, I mean, I don't even know how I would structure it. Like fitness, like maybe workouts, maybe like, I don't know. I can't really think of like what would be super rewarding fitness, because we've been doing it so fucking long. It's like, how could we make that like a sticker program essentially?
Well, I think it essentially is. It's just goal. It's essentially goal making, right? You have your long-term goal, and then you need to create short-term goals that's going to bring you to that long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially what it is. But I think some goals would be complex, and so
Yeah.
I don't know. I like where it's going though, because with that long-term goal and then choosing the short-term goal that through consistency hopefully is going to get you to that long-term goal. But who knows when it's going to get to that? It depends on. Yeah, I don't know.
Because then it would be more of just like an excitement to fill out a space, an excitement to be like, oh, you can get to mark off another little thing for fun, but not so much pressure as is like, oh, I have to do this every day. Because like reading for me isn't 100% consistent. There's days that I don't read at all, and then there are days that I just blast through an entire fucking book. And it's like just the excitement of like finishing the thing and some sense of like, oh, I've got 50 spaces. This is just, I keep playing it back into the books because this is what's like really on my mind recently. Oh, I got an idea. For skills, for the things we want to accomplish, we do it in hours. So we block off our hour once we finish an hour. So like, I want to learn Mandarin fluently. It's going to take 20 hours, okay? It'll take 20 hours to get good at Mandarin. It'll take 30 hours to become like great at it. So say for the rest of the year, I want to complete 30 hours of Mandarin, which honestly shouldn't be that hard. I just have my 30 squares and I time it up, right? I do my Mandarin 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I get to my hour, I get to mark off a square, and I have like 30 squares I have to finish for Mandarin. And then for Spanish, say I want to put, the 20 hours or 30 hours of Spanish in, I've got my 30 blocks. And every time I finish an hour, I mark that off. And then say it's the same for like my Python. I want to put, I'm at 20. I want to do a total of 40 hours now. So I'd be able to mark off 20 squares, have like the total of the 40 hours that I want to put in on Python. And it's just a thing of like, essentially like the skills are the things we want to grow in. Because obviously fitness, things like that, it's hard because we're constantly always growing in our own little weird ways. Like you just got your nutritional certification, which by the way, congrats on that. That's fucking huge. And hearing that that's even harder than the fucking NASM test, like seriously, good job. Good job on that. But what if we structured it like that? Like new things or things that we're trying to like just do more of, or like the skills we want to build. Because obviously we want to get somewhere. We have big things we want to do. We want to do some main character shit. We know that there's little things that we have to do to get to that like big goal of like having the compound. We know what those little things are. For me, it's like Mandarin, coding. There are things that I'm like, okay, as a millionaire, this is what he's able to do. This is what millionaire Tanner's able to do. If I had them on a thing, like I just have to complete this. I have to do my 50 books in a year. I have to do my Mandarin. I have to get my 20 hours of Mandarin in. I have to be able to speak Spanish fluently. So I got to do my like 30 hours of Spanish. And you know that once you complete all of these things, like fucking game on. And then say we even have like an investing space. like an investing square. So like every time you put in $100 into your like savings of investing of whatever you're investing in, every time you add an extra $100, you get to mark off a square, or $200, whatever it is for yourself. And you're like, oh, I got to invest a little bit more. And you get to mark off a square. And your goal is to invest, I don't even know how much by the end of the year, but we like set that so that we have our things, we're not tracked every day. It's just every time you complete an hour of the goal or the skill that you want to obtain. Because let's be honest, this is all like gaining skills. Nutrition, gaining a skill. Some certification, that's gaining a new skill. Like, I want to learn Mandarin Chinese fluently, that's a new skill. I know what it's going to take, and if we tracked it, and be like, we looked at it, even if it was, we just maintained it for the podcast. Like, oh, I saw that you hit your like Spanish goal for the week, or you finished your like 10 hours of Spanish. Fucking right on. How you feeling about that? Or like, whatever it may be. You put the 10 hours into your music, like you finished the first 10 blocks of music, 10 hours of music, making music that you wanted to do. How you feeling? You're like, I'm doing great. I just output this many videos. I feel like the videos are getting better in this way and this way. That might be a better way of doing it, instead of being like, oh, every day you have to do this shit. It's just like, when you complete the hour finally of whatever it is, you get to mark off a square. And your goal is to finish these squares by the end of the year.
I do worry with the spreadsheet though.
Yeah.
I do worry that like it's gonna turn into the old one where a week has passed and you're like, oh, I did hit it a few days. I'm not go back and I'm gonna have to think and throw the X's down wherever. That's my concern with it. But I don't know how to. I like it though. Because, well, for example, I work 12-hour shifts 3 days out of the week, where it makes hard to hit goals. So everyday thing is not happening for me. So it definitely is a better idea, but I'm not sure if I'm feeling a spreadsheet that I have to go back on and hit. I don't know. I don't know any other way to do it. So maybe we just have to try
I think we're just shell shocked from the last spreadsheet because it got so fucking out of hand.
Yeah.
And I think we're still just a little distasteful towards this spreadsheet. And it wasn't so much reward based. It was more of just like, it was more of a punishment thing. We're like, fuck. Like, and I feel like we just need to structure it more of like a reward thing, as in like, when you block off these things, you will know you will be this person. You will know that you are on the path to becoming and embodying the character that you're trying to become. Because like for me, I have exactly the goal in mind that I want to hit. It's just making those steps consistently to like embody that person. This goes back into that 1% shit that I was doing for so long. Holy crap. That was crazy.
Yeah, I guess we could dive into it and try it, but I don't want to create no spreadsheet.
I feel you, dog. I feel you.
Well, that's a weird thing is because I love spreadsheets. I'm making stuff all the time at work and stuff, but I don't know. I get overkill every time I do it. I mean, when it comes to personal goals, because just like I was saying towards the beginning of the podcast, I overkill myself all the time. It's just like I start seeing like, oh, I can accomplish this and this and this, and I could do this and this, and then before you know it, I have 20 goals that I'm trying to do every day, and too much. So, I mean, I have a good routine that I got going now. Like I said before, I literally have like 4 goals every day: reading, writing, workout, and music. And those are my 4 that I accomplish every day, and it's pretty simple to accomplish. And I'm doing an hour of each of those, and it's not too hard, not too overwhelming. My problem is more so accountability in those aspects and giving all of those 100%. So,
do you have a goal of how many books you want to like do in a year? No,
I don't really have a long-term goal when it comes to reading. I just want to read every day. Like that's literally it. I just want to keep on improving and growing in aspects of my intellect. But yeah, I don't really. It's more so. It's hard for me to make a goal on books because it's just like you read 200 books a year. Okay, cool. Now, how much did you actually learn?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my big thing. Is especially a lot of times reading and growing up reading is just you skim that page and my brain wanders so much. Like you find one idea that triggers you or something that happened earlier in a day gets in your head, and before you know it, you're on a railway train somewhere. And you so more so, yeah. Rather than long-term goals with reading, I just like a short-term read every day
Mm-hmm.
and try to pick up stuff from that.
We've got to figure out this mastermind group.
Yeah. And that's another thing to it is I definitely would like accountability and positive reinforcement and all of that aspects into it, the social aspect into the goals
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's not super formal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to.
'Cause it needs to feel like play.
Yeah.
It needs to feel like fun to do, like you're excited, as if we were like meeting up on Battlefield 4 or whatever, just like it's fun play.
And that's the thing, like if we were in person, it'd be like, let's hit the gym this time. And then everyone's like, yeah, let's do it.
Let's fucking
Or like, let's get together this time and freaking go for a run and like, yeah. But when it comes to online, that's where everything gets complicated because it could become tedious, it could become overwhelming. It's a challenge.
Remember before when we weren't doing the podcast, what were we doing?
We were just talking.
We were calling each other all the time.
Oh yeah, we would call and talk once a week.
Yeah. That's what we were like. We should do a podcast. We have such good intellectual conversations over these calls. Like, why not just do that again? Just calling. Just like,
Outside of the podcast.
yeah, because that's the only thing we're missing.
True. Yeah, that might be what it takes. I feel like your schedule's too crazy though.
My schedule is a little crazy.
Because I mean, we try to talk a little bit before and after, but it's not the same because in our heads, it's like we got to get this podcast done,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And maybe that's what it would take is just
1%. Let's do
a separate time outside the podcast where we could just talk about
one time a week
growth
outside
and
of the
stuff.
podcast. Let's just do a call. Like, let's just call. You don't have to do it every day. Outside of the podcast, let's just try to find a time. Like if I'm at work and I'm driving and shit, and I'm just like, fuck, I got nothing to do except drive. Might as well call them. Like, see what's up. Because we have great intellectual, like, growing conversations every time. Every time we talk. Every fucking time we talk. Like, oh, I gotta do this. I should do this now. Like, oh, I understand this a little bit more. Because, like, let's be honest, we're part of the 1%. The more you work that Belgian horse together, the stronger and faster it grows. Grows. Same shit, whatever. So you're like, hey, like you hit me up and I'm like just driving at work and you're like, you busy right now? I'll be like, no, not busy, just chilling. And we make a call and grows. Because that's what it was before. I literally would just take walks and be like, I should call out. And I'd fucking call you. Like we'd have some like intellectual conversation. We kept doing that shit until finally we were like, we gotta do a podcast, man.
Yeah.
So one call outside of podcast. And that's basically it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think when it comes to tracking personal goals, everyone has different things that work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could definitely try to track our own personal goals. But when it comes to just a phone call once a week, you talk about what you've done, what you've accomplished.
Let's do
what
that.
You've learned.
Let's
we could just chat about stuff.
Let's figure out our personal goals are for ourselves, not on a spreadsheet. Like for me, I want to do my 50 books. I want to do my like Mandarin. I want to do my like Spanish and shit and coding. I want to write that all out for myself. And once a week, we can just like touch base, be like, hey, how you doing? Like, how's your goals doing? Like, I'm fucking killing it. How so? Like, what are you knocking off recently?
I like that.
And then, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. More coffee.
Essentially, that's what mastermind groups do. Is just once a week they have a group meeting and making sure each and every one of each other is going in the right direction.
Which
made progress.
That's what we do on the podcast, but we're just adding 1% more. So we have already got a 1% growth every time we record. Let's be honest. Like every time we record, we're a little chaos and then we get adjusted. We're like, oh, okay, I got to get focused. Okay. And then we get a little chaos and then we get like focused again. Throughout the week, we get a little chaos and then we get focused.
Well, I feel like the podcast is a good place where we talk about what we learned, but I think we need to have a separate time to talk about how we're going to learn, keeping each other learning in our different goals. So,
all right, anytime during the week, it doesn't even matter. If we just find a slot that like fits and works, and we're both like free, we'll just commit to 20 minutes, 15, doesn't even fucking matter, 30 minutes, however long. Could end up being an hour some days. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, gang. All right, we should talk about goals. How'd you do? What was our last goal? We were in person, so we didn't really...
Yeah, 'cause it's been a few weeks since the last podcast, and then we were together. I'm pretty sure I was still tackling like in my terms of communication and relationships and talking to people in the gym and stuff, which I'm still tackling. What I'm learning is as I'm kind of writing ideas out and stuff, it really, I'm thinking of a word. It's like carnates, it creates, it oh shoot, what's the word? There's a perfect word for it, but by not remembering it I ruin it. But by writing it out, it makes it come true in real life. And so as I'm writing down ideas of communication and how I want to interact around people, whether they're new people or people I've been around, it's really helping me do better. And so I think I have been kind of tackling those things in terms of communication. Like in the gym, I'm starting to approach people, whether in terms of complimenting them or getting to know them. It's been really good to try to create the person I want to be in terms of communication. And so I have been doing better at that. And I don't know, I think I put a number to it. You made me put a number to it last time. And I said something around 3 people. And I don't know if I met it or not, because it's been a few weeks. But I definitely have met a handful of people over the last few weeks. And it's been good. And I think I want to continue, honestly, with that goal. Just keep on tackling it, because I think it's the weak point in all the daily things I want to be tackling. And so I'm going to continue to tackle that. And I think on top of that, not solely introducing myself to new people and getting to know new people, but people I already know. I think that's kind of a part I'm struggling now, is when I see them, I want to make sure I say hi to them and talk to them a little bit as well. And so both those aspects I want to continue and growing in. So that'll be my goal, continuing, is growing off of that.
Okay. Oh yeah. You've done good, especially spreading into your gym and like spreading your roots throughout there. That was something you were like, how do you even talk to people in the gym? Like, how do you even speak to people? Now you work there. It's like, you talk to people so well that you now just work there. You talk to people for a living now, for work, which is impressive. That's a huge amount of growth just in the gym in general, or in communication in general. You're like, I want to talk to more people. Shit, now I work at the gym because I talked to people. So yeah, that's fucking awesome. What was mine? I think it was Turning Pro. I wanted to read Turning Pro, which I haven't done. I need to read that book. But I did finish one of Neville Goddard's books really quick. I do want to finish 2 books this week, aside from Green Lights, which I'm going to finish today. I'm going to do that today. I can literally just play that while I like clean up and whatnot. But this week I want to do 2 books. I don't want to set an expectation of what those books are going to be. I just want to finish 2 books this week. Because typically I'll like set a book and then I'll read a different book and then I'll feel bad about reading the other book when in reality, reading's reading and it's good. So I'm just going to set the expectation of finishing 2 books this week because that's it. That's what I'm trying to catch up. I'm doing good.
Nice.
All right. That concludes episode what? 28. 29.
28.
28.
Yeah. 28 sounds good.
Episode 28 of 2 Minutes to Life. We'll see you cabbages next week.